Stow it, lady. You've resigned. And take your bloody NFTs with you.
Meet the Flying Scotsman. He is the 462 Pacific steam locomotive built in 1923 for the London and North Eastern Railway (LNER) at the Doncaster Works design of Nigel Gresley. He has also been described as the world's famous steam locomotive. He is also named after the service that runs from London King's Cross to Eldenburg Waverley. Back in 2018, the Flying Scotsman is owned by the National Railway Museum and can also be found hauling mainline rail tours and visiting heritage railways across the United Kingdom. Bill Sparshad was one of Flying Scotsman's driver, and he also said that if we hit anything today, we will hit hard enough. By now, today is the day that we celebrated his 100th birthday on the Island of Sodor. And happy birthday for the Flying Scotsman.
It was late February on Sodor. The snowstorm finally dwindled. Gordon got out of his streamlined shell and went back to his regular express services and arrived on time to see Royal Pioneer before his departure. After the snowstorm, some railway inspectors were doing their usual inspection when something caught their eye on the Farquhar branch line. They had a chat with Sir Topham Hatt about the water troughs.
Mr. Topham, your railway is in good condition, although we've had a question regarding with your water throughs on the Farquhar branch line.
Have you considered having some troughs along the main line?
It can make passengers and goods surface about 5% easier for your steam engine.
Sir Topham Hatt thought it was a great idea. So the first thing he did was to rally up Gordon, Henry, and Robin to the steamworks to have their tenders fitted with water scoops.
Sounds like that Random's bottom fellow knew what he was doing. I'm sure the trowels will run swingingly, considering that my run will be extended to Kirk Run and Harbour in the summer.
This will be a fun experience with the water scoops and trowels. I heard some wonders about it from the LMS.
You seem to know a lot about them. You were designed in the LMS too.
Well, he wasn't always an LMS Stanier. He was a model of a rejected A1 Pacific design with a C1 boiler.
Right. Then he had his crash with the COPPA in 1951. I remember now.
I learned about the water droughts during my rebuild at Crew. You alright, Gordon? You seem disgruntled about something.
I just don't understand why we need these water troughs. I ran from Titnef to Barrowing Furnace just fine without them. Even my shortened run from Knapford to Vickerstown since 2011 has gone without a hitch.
Well, how do you know you'll hate it if you refuse to try it?
He's got a point. Just give it a chance.
Next, water troughs were laid along straight tracks on the main line between Kildane and Kelstrop Road. Because of the trials taking place during winter, the water troughs have to be emptied so the water doesn't freeze in them. And diesels would also have to be diverted onto lines without the troughs should they ever accidentally leak oil. When everything was set up, the trials commenced. Robin went first.
Phew! Refreshing!
Next came Henry. And finally was Gordon, who was still skeptical about the water troughs. After cruising over the troughs, he tried to pick up speed and not waste any more time.
Steady now, Gordon. We're not in a race.
All in all, the first day of the water troughs trial was a success. But Gordon's mood still hasn't changed when he arrived back at Tidmouth's sheds.
And here we have the six-legged antelope returning to its shelter for the night.
What are you going on about, James?
Haven't you heard what happened on the railway? Sir Topham Hatt has added some water troughs between Kildane and Kelstoke Road, where steam engines can pick up water while on the run. If anything, it seems like as if we're animals drinking by a lake. Rather comical, if I'm honest.
Well, I don't find it comical. Sir Topham Hatt is just trying to make our lives easier for us.
She's right. If I ever had a train to take from the Farquhar branch to Tidmouth Harbour, the water troughs will work wonders for me. Anywho, how was your trails with the water troughs, Gordon?
It was decent, but I still think these troughs are a triffing matter.
Before he dozed off to sleep, he tried to think of a way to prove himself useful without the trough. The next morning, Gordon got up a little earlier and made his way to the Knapford Yards. He parked himself by a water tower, guzzling down water to the brim of his tender. He wanted to make sure he had a full tank of water. Morning, Gordon. I heard the main line is gonna get new water troughs. I remember some of the eastern states using some water troughs back in my home, although the geography of the layout was making the water troughs difficult. You must be excited to use the troughs.
On the contrary, I like to prove to those railway inspectors that the water troughs are useless for an engine like me.
Sounds like to me that you forgot Nia's lecture on change. But what do I know? You are a big engine. I'll see you later with my stopping service. It was now time for the express. The coaches were on the platform, the guard blew his whistle, and Gordon started off. He dashed down the main line with much confidence.
I'll show them all.
He saw Robin on the opposite line heading the opposite direction with his boat train trial. And that was when things went wrong. Poor Robin got soaked.
Oops, that didn't sound good.
Gordon arrived at Vickerstown in an embarrassing, sorry state.
Oh dear, James will really have a laugh now, I just know it.
But when he arrived back at Tidmouth's sheds, he was quite surprised to see James remaining respectfully silent, rather than laughing at him.
I heard what happened today with Robin, and I was lectured about the potential dangers of flying lumps of coal shattering glass. I'm sorry about what happened, and I'm sorry for teasing you. Looks like you're right. Those water troughs do sound trifling.
You could thank Emily for the talking sense into him.
Well, I am the part-time safety engine of the railway after all, and knows what's best.
But it looks like they'll be here to stay. Sir Topham Hatt and the railway inspectors agreed to re-timetable our trains to prevent it from happening again.
Gordon was glad that James ended his teasing, which made it easier for him to remember Nia's lecture on change back in 2018. One day on Sodor, Thomas was taking the local train along the main line with Annie and Clarabelle. They arrived at Kelstoke Road for a guaranteed connection with Gordon.
Good morning, Gordon. You're in a a pleasant mood today. Have you come to your senses on accepting the water troughs?
Not only that, Thomas. I'm looking forward to a special guest coming to Sodor.
Oh? What's the occasion?
You've seen him before at Vickerstown.
Their conversation was interrupted by a distant whistle from Spencer. Between him and his coach was a milk tanker. He parked beside the two engines to have a little chat.
Spencer? What's with the milk tanker?
It's a new thing the Duke and Duchess planned called the Up Milk Train for Boxford. I'm not very fond of it.
Well, there's no need to cry over spilled milk.
Yes, what brings you to Sodor? It's not summertime yet.
No, but the Duke and Duchess wanted to visit Sodor for the week for the Flying Scotsman's birthday.
Flying Scotsman? Coming to Sodor? On his birthday?
Ah, not just any birthday, Thomas. His 100th birthday.
His 100th birthday? That is special.
Quite so. I've yet to come up with a perfect gift for him.
Well, you're on the clock, cousin. Your brother is scheduled to arrive late tomorrow afternoon. And with that, Spencer proceeded his journey to the summer house of Boxford. It was time for Gordon to leave too. He left the station with a pondering look on his face. Thomas could tell that Gordon was having trouble thinking of the perfect gift for Flying Scotsman. All day, he pondered what he could do for the Flying Scotsman and Gordon.
Maybe I can help make Scotsman's birthday extra special.
Hey, Thomas! Did you hear the news? The Flying Scotsman's visiting Sodor for the week, on his Centennial birthday!
I heard the same thing at Cowsthorpe Road from Spencer. Gordon doesn't know what to do for him on his birthday, so I'm trying to think of some ideas.
I could throw out a couple suggestions. I mean, obviously, for starters, the theme of the birthday is Scotsman.
Like the Great Railway Show? That's one of the few things I know about him.
Well, let's see. He's done a global tour. He broke a speed record of 100 miles per hour. Maybe we can have some reenactment of those historic events. And have everyone cosplay at Scotsman's events. It'd be like a Collecticon or Comic-Con for Scotsmen. A Scot-con! Of course, that may sound a tad silly.
That's a grand idea!
And Thomas left with a start. He didn't even thank me.
Hey, watch your steam pressure there, buddy. We can deal with that blue jet of yours.
Yeah, we give him trouble loads of times.
Alright, now hold on. Stand down, you lads. I'm sure Thomas got a bit overexcited, and it'll seem likely that he'll thank me for the idea tomorrow. And with that, Humphrey left for Nemford Sheds. The next day was Thomas's day off, which gave Thomas an advantage to wake up very early and get to work with the idea of Scot-con. His first stop was the steamworks. Buenos dias, Senor Thomas. Have you come here to have yourself polished for the Flying Scotsman's arrival?
Victor, you know a lot about steam engines. Could you share some information about them?
Victor had the workmen turn on the TV, and Thomas watched various videos on the Flying Scotsman and his historic events. He paid close attention with much interest. The next step was to have Victor create replicas of certain number plates and nameplates. Finally, Thomas went around and looked around for some volunteers to attend the Scot-con. Some engines were too busy with their work, but he was lucky enough to get some candidates, like Edward to be assigned to cosplay as Shane, Spencer to cosplay as Dwight D. Eisenhower, and the Earl to cosplay as William McAlpine. And Tidmouth Station will be staged to display a unique moment.
Right there, Bozo, and perfect. And Gordon will be next.
As Gordon pulled into Tidmouth Station, he was surprised, but in a negative way.
Whatever is happening on the railway? I see Edward with the number 520 on his buffer beam. Spencer has a nameplate, D.A. Hauer, and now engines are lined up at Tidmouth Station, barricading the platforms.
It's my Scot-con. Since you had limited time trying to think of the perfect gift for Scotsman, I went ahead and covered it for you.
Scot-con? That sounds like...
a rather peculiar but brilliant idea. Nice work, Thomas. Now we'd better get ready. The Flying Scotsman is due to arrive in roughly 20 minutes.
Thomas beamed from buffer to buffer. He was glad to help out Gordon. Gordon had to admit it was quite loyal for Thomas to do. It was now time for the Flying Scotsman to arrive on Sodor. Engines, rail fans, and crowds were excited to see the big Gresley Green engine pull in.
Cole here, live at Tidmouth Station at Platform 4, where the Flying Scotsman will park himself any minute now. Crowds and engines have gathered to welcome the engine of his 100th birthday. And here he comes now! We can hear the excellent overlapping on my own dialogue.
The Flying Scotsman pulled into the platform right in front of Gordon. Behind Scotsman was a Class 220 diesel that assisted the train to make sure it arrived safely.
Greetings from York! Ha ha ha! Oh, hello, brother!
Hello, dear brother!
Welcome back to Sodor, Scott. We're proud to celebrate your birthday centennial here for the week.
Ah, much obliged, sir. I say, an American engine, a diesel, and a turbo-looking engine? This display looks all too familiar from the North American trip. And is that man cosplaying as William McAlpine?
Indeed, Scotsman. Hope you enjoy my trip down to memory lane.
You can thank Thomas for the idea. It's a little something he called Scot-con.
Well then, this is a pleasant surprise. Thomas, I give you my utmost thanks.
It was the least I could do.
And once again, the crowds, rail fans, and engines gave 3 cheers to the Flying Scotsman's centennial birthday. Everyone was happy that the Flying Scotsman was visiting Sodor for his birthday. Well, almost everyone. But that's another story.
May I lend you assistance to your siding, Mr. Scotsman?
That would be very generous. Thank you, dear Diesel.
For the first couple of days at Tidmouth, both Gordon and the Flying Scotsman are static displays. Crowds and engines came to chat with the engines and take photography and video footage. While some were bashful, others were glad to meet him. Both the Gresley A1 Pacifics accepted everyone's greetings.
I still find this cosplay present rather childish, especially for big engines like us. I do empathize you, cousin.
It's quite fine, cousin. 'Twas the thought that counts. And I get to enjoy it with my brother. What is all that commotion behind us?
Oh, pay them no heed. Most rail funds deny your claim of reaching 100 miles per hour, and some of those residents of the Little Western are prime examples considering a Great Western pannier tanker to runs the line. They believe it was Steer Truro, another Great Westerner.
It was a Wednesday when it was time to head to the next location.
We are now on the Flying Scotsman's train, heading to Sudbury, the capital of Sodor.
The cavalcade thundered along the main line and diverted onto the Brendam branch line. The Voyager class shunted the coaches off to the sidings, while the two Gresleys stood by the platform as static displays.
So this is Sudbury. Splendid scenery.
Good day to you lot. Pleasure having you down under.
This is quite reminiscent of my trip to Australia from 1988 to 89.
Back at Tidmouth Station, Duck was arranging a train for Humphrey. Hello there, Duck. What's the matter? Aren't you happy that we have a special guest, the Flying Scotsman?
Well, I am. It's just, I'm hoping whatever they bring up Flying Scotsman Speedway from 13.4, I hope their mention Studio October picked up as well. He did reach 100 miles per hour years before him.
That old debate. Well, if you're gonna bring up Turo's speed record, just do it in a gentle manner. Don't be like those foamers from earlier. Duck took Humphrey's advice when a station master walked up to him. Excuse me, Duck. I just got contacted from the clay pits that Timothy's tubes are clogged and is in need of replacing. Could you cover his assignments at the Brendam branch line?
Sure thing, sir.
And with the pull of the throttle, Duck departed from Tidmouth. Oh, hey, Duck, you could also mention that... he's gone. Dadgummit. Duck made his way to the Brendam branch line, arrived at the clay pits, and handled Timothy's assignments. Taking China clay trucks from the pits to the docks. Throughout the day, Duck tried to figure out how he could mention City of Turo's speed record in a gentle manner. It was almost the end of the day, and Duck was still stumped. That's when he heard a horn. It was Derek pulling alongside him. Good evening, Duck. What seems to be on your mind?
Evening, Derek. I'm just trying to think of a proper delivery for informing everyone that Studio October reached 100 miles per hour mark before Scott.
Well, that does sound like a predicament, but with an easy solution. Have you ever considered not bringing it up at all?
Of course. If you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Cranky, I don't believe that's what he only meant.
If I'm honest, Duck, this whole 100-mile-per-hour speed record is just old news. And so is this debate with Turo and Scotsman. It's as if people had nothing more to complain about.
Like medium rudeness.
Exactly.
May I mention something? I know an engine known as 999. He clocks speeds up to at least 112.5 miles in 1893. 11 years before city of Tours reached 100 in 1904.
Duck was taken aback of hearing such a fact.
Another engine hitting 100 miles before both engines? If that be true, then the whole argument is pointless.
It doesn't really matter who was the true engine that went 100 miles per hour. All that matters is that those engines did something to make their railway companies proud.
You know, you're right. I might as well have a good time in Scott and not bring up the debate. I mean, we have a good love with Henry Henry back in 1968. Cheerio.
Have a good time.
The Sudbury meet and greet was still at full swing when Duck pulled in next to the Gresleys.
Oh, hello there, Great Westerner.
Duck, it's good to see you again. What brings you here?
Before a conversation would spark up, a foamer pointed at Duck.
Hey, a 57XX pin your tank engine. He'll back us up for the 100 miles per hour debate.
Oh, this debate again? Flying Scotsman is the holder of the 100 miles per hour record. Fair and square.
No. 30 miles prior, Scott, he raced down the line with his post train on the 9th of May.
About that post run, there were no professional recorders, no dynamometer coach, no test runs to clock the locomotive speed. And topping it all off, it was a downhill run. So gravity had the connection with the run and would be considered cheating.
I've had enough of this nonsense.
The foamer leaped out, Mickey dodged, and now the fists started to fly. And then rewrite history!
Thank you, random citizen.
Duck fled the scene and shuddered from the fight that broke out.
Now he never wants to talk to me again.
That was when the Voyager class found Duck in a siding.
Duck? There you are. It's alright. The fight's over. It's safe to come out.
Well, that was easy, but I don't think Scotsman would want to speak to me due to the fight about the whole 100 miles per hour thing. He probably thinks I support them.
Well, I beg to differ. You backed out of the fight rather than supporting those toxic enthusiasts. It was your thoughts that matters, not theirs. Don't worry, Flying Scotsman won't bite your smoke box door off.
Okay then. Thank you. I'm sorry. Who are you?
Oh, how rude of me. I'm Jiff. Come on, let's get you back to the platform.
Duck and Jiff rolled out of the siding and returned to the platform.
Jiff, there you are! Is everything okay?
Jiff explained the whole situation with Duck, thinking he had some connection with the fight, but he really didn't.
Well, I'm glad you're one of the few who moved on from that argument.
Of course he would. Better than welding a weapon.
A weapon?
Of course. Weapons like throwing stones, or even a gun. I mean, that's what happened during Scotsman's test run at America.
Oh yes, I remember that time, 1969, right?
Correct, on the 3rd of October.
Duck was amazed and wanted to learn more about Scotsman's global adventure, as well as other activities. And from that evening forward, the two began chatting like old friends. For the last 2 days on Sodor, Gordon and the Flying Scotsman will be static displays at Vickerstown.
Right on time, Scott.
The two Gresleys parked themselves by the sheds. The residents at Vickerstown sheds were most excited to see the Flying Scotsman being displayed on the turntable.
Ah, Vickerstown sheds. Oh, what's this? A dried-up ditch? Looks like the same one you plunged into long ago, brother.
Let's not bring that up.
By the time Timothy was repaired and working again at the clay pits, Duck was able to return back to the Little Western branch line. He couldn't wait to tell his friends about his meet and greet with the Flying Scotsman. The last place he told about his event was at the Arlesdale Railway. He informed the miniature engines that Flying Scotsman turns 100 this year. But by a sheer coincidence, another engine on the Arlesdale Railway is turning 100 as well. That would be Rex, though his birthday is on May. Duck collected the ballast and puffed off to his next destination. But as he left, Jock, whom Duck was talking to, got a little idea. The next day, the plan was set into action.
Good morning, Mr. Clark.
Good morning, engines. I've got a special announcement today. You're in for a treat, Rex. Now, your birthday's not until May. However, another engine called the Flying Scotsman is also turning 100 this year, so you'll be hitched to a train to Vickerstown to see him.
Sir, that sounds amazing. I'll take it as an early birthday gift.
Rex, you leaving again? Don't tell us you want to explore the mainland again like you did back in 2018.
Well, we've also been away from the railway before, remember? To attend the Great Little Railway Show back in 2020.
Fair points.
Marvelous. I'll cost the time I had to make the visit possible.
So Mr. Clark contacted Sir Topham Hatt about the idea, and he was quick to agree. While Rex would be away, Jock would handle his freight work, while the Sacred of Arlesdale would cover his passenger trains. Rex was lifted onto the flatbed, and the miniature green engine made his way to Knapford to meet up with the express to Vickerstown.
I wonder who would take Rex to Vickerstown.
Flying Scotsman, here we are, on time. pardon my timidity. It's a true honor meeting you, sir. If it's acceptable to you, may I have a picture taken with you, please?
Ooh, yes.
Okay, that wasn't very enthusiastic, but thanks for helping me practice.
You really think you'll see him?
Well, there's a really good chance today, and if not, then there's always a next time, but I'm really hoping it would be today. Well, there's my coaches. I best be off then.
Hold on, Humphrey. Before you go, you're bringing someone with you.
Oh? Who would it be?
As luck would have it, Rex is also turning 100 this year. Mr. Clark and I have agreed to allow Rex to visit the Flying Scotsman's Lake before he leaves tomorrow.
Oh, that's marvelous! I'm delighted to oblige, sir. So Rex was shunted in front of the coaches, and Humphrey buffered up to the front of the miniature engine. Both of them were highly excited. Alrighty, Rex. It's Vickerstown or bust. The guard's whistle blew, and the camelback engine departed from Knapford. A chorus of whistles and a horn wished the engines luck. Ah, the Crosby washdown. I wish I had a quick rinse before I see the Scotsman. Oh well, no time for that. Humphrey was making good time until they reached a junction at Kildane. A young boy with a camera was starting to trespass. He was making a video on how switches work. He carelessly set the points in the wrong direction, and Humphrey was puffing down the wrong track. Hold on. That looks like the repair yard from Gordon Takes a Shortcut. Humphrey put on his brakes and stopped.
Everything okay, Humphrey?
It seems we took a wrong turn. This is the mainline loop. We'll have to backtrack. So that's what Humphrey did. I apologize for the delay, everyone. Don't worry, it'll all be sorted. And then there was trouble. The points were aligned with the main line, and not the switch Humphrey was puffing out of.
Humphrey!
The signalman
Humphrey,
waved his red flag, but it was too late. The bogies on the brake coach derailed.
Egods, everyone okay?
What on earth has happened?
Some trespasser hopped into the signal box and fiddled with the levers. He looked like that YouTuber, Stenson Dudley.
Well, isn't that just peachy? We were running down the line so fine, and that little trespasser had to waltz about and interfere!
Humphrey, relax. I'm sure that boy will be on house arrest once he's caught.
House arrest, yes. A lot better than getting grounded. That kid should know that trespassing is a crime and tampering with railway equipment is vandalism!
Humphrey, that's enough. When we arrive at Vickerstown, you'll sit in the siding for several minutes until you calm down.
This is outrageous. I'm going to be late.
The brake coach isn't badly derailed. You can slowly pull it back on the rails and we'll work from there.
With that, Humphrey slowly puffed forward, and the brake coach re-railed back on the tracks. The signalman went back into the signal box and switched the points so the train would properly reverse back onto the main line. The passengers grumbled. Everyone was going to be late now, and Humphrey felt miserable. Humphrey tried to speed down the line, but still, they were a few minutes late when they arrived. When they pulled into the platform, Humphrey uncoupled from the train and sat in a shed at the shunting yards. Thomas shunted Rex into the Vickerstown sheds and then took the coaches to the shunting yards, where he saw Humphrey shedding a lot of tears.
Humphrey? What's the matter?
Oh, it's just awful. A simple train to Vickerstown, thwarted by some trespasser. It was gonna be one of the best days of my life, and it's ruined. I was finally gonna be happy. I was finally gonna be satisfied after a long, hard week. Something to get my mind off of you not crediting me.
Not giving you credit?
Don't act all clueless. You know what I'm talking about. Tidmouth Harbor? I was the one who suggested the idea of the Scot-con. And you just puffed away in excitement without a single care in the world to think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Humphrey. I'm so sorry for not mentioning you that day. Please, let me make it up to you.
Thomas, what's all the commotion?
Sir, not only is Humphrey upset with that trespasser, but with me too. Humphrey was the one who thought of the idea for Scot-con. I got all excited and I didn't credit him when I put it together. Please, sir, may Humphrey see the Flying Scotsman before he leaves tomorrow?
Well, I can see that both of you are sorry. Okay, Humphrey, you may see Scotsman.
Oh, thank you, sir, replied Humphrey happily and made his way to the sheds.
And Thomas, I shall speak with you later.
At Vickerstown sheds, Flying Scotsman and Rex were having a conversation when Humphrey slowly rattled up to the sheds. He was really bashful now.
And who do we have here?
Hello. My name is Humphrey. I'm a camelback locomotive.
A camelback locomotive? Well, you sure look like an impressive engine.
Oh, thank you, sir.
We heard about your encounter with that rail fan. Sounded like you threw quite a rage.
Yeah.
At least you didn't do anything drastic, like throwing lumps of coal at them. On my first American run, a group of boys threw stones at me. One of them had a gun and shot my tender.
Then on its return back, his crew threw heaps of coal at the boys. Karma's a fine female dog, if you ask me.
Indeed, dear brother.
Humphrey had a good laugh and continued on with their conversation. Finally, the day came for Flying Scotsman to take the train from Vickerstown back home.
Thank you for visiting, Scotsman. I hope our path will cross again.
I'm sure we will, Gordon. My mainline certificate won't expire until 2032. And Humphrey, it was very nice to meet you.
And it was an honor meeting you as well, sir.
You ready to take off, Scotsman?
Righto, driver. It's network rail or bust.
The guard's whistle blew, and Flying Scotsman hauled the train out of the station and onto the mainland. with Jiff following behind. Well, well. All's well that ends well. And Thomas, I'm sorry I lost my temper with you yesterday.
To be fair, I did deserve it. But I forgive you. And again, I'm sorry for not giving you the credit for Scot-con that you deserved.
Apology accepted, Thomas. Now let's head back to the west of the island. We've got a railway to run. And the Camelback and tank engine did just that.